Morning students, myself Renu Yadav, and today we will discuss the diagrams from lesson number 7 to lesson number 12 of Science Class 5. Children, first of all, we will discuss about photosynthesis. Plants prepare their own food by the process called photosynthesis. Photo means light and synthesis means putting together. Plant need sunlight, carbon dioxide from air and water from soil. Photosynthesis takes place in the leaves of a plant. Leaves have tiny pores called stomata through which carbon dioxide enters the plant. Plant cells contains tiny structures called chloroplast that contains chlorophyll. So children, carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll will give glucose, that is sugar, and oxygen, and this process is called photosynthesis. Next is food chain. A food chain explains which organisms eat another organism in the environment. Like here, you can see in the diagram that a deer eats grass and the tiger eats deer. The food chain is a linear sequence of organisms where nutrients and energy is transferred from one organism to the other. This occurs when one organism consumes another organism. It begins with producer organism, follows the chain and ends with decomposer organism. Next we will discuss about solar eclipse. Solar eclipse occurs when the sun is partially or completely hidden. In the image, you can see that the moon is moving around the earth in its orbit. While moving along its orbit, when the moon comes between the earth and the sun, it blocks the light of the sun from reaching the earth, and the shadow of the moon falls on the earth. This phenomenon is called solar eclipse. During solar eclipse, two types of shadows of the moon falls on the earth. The first shadow is called the umbra and the second shadow is called the penumbra. Umbra is the dark center of the moon's shadow and gets smaller as it reaches the earth. People in the area of Umbra see a total solar eclipse. During a total solar eclipse, the sun, the moon, and the earth lie in a perfect straight line. A total solar eclipse can also be seen from a small part of the earth. During total solar eclipse, the sky becomes very dark as night. People in the area of Penumbra see a partial solar eclipse. Partial solar eclipse occurs when the sun, the moon, and the earth are not in exactly a straight line. Next is lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipse occurs when the moon is partially or completely hidden. From the image, we can see that a lunar eclipse happens when the earth, while moving around its orbit around the sun, comes between the sun and the moon. The earth blocks the light of the sun from falling on the moon, and the shadow of the earth falls on the moon. This phenomenon is called lunar eclipse. When the moon and the sun are on opposite sides of the earth in a straight line, total lunar eclipse happens. The moon looks slightly reddish during a total lunar eclipse. Partial lunar eclipse occurs when only a part of the moon comes across into the earth's shadow. The part of the moon which comes across the earth's shadow appears very dark. Next is first class of lever. First class levers have the fulcrum between the force and the load. In using a screwdriver to lift the lid from a paint tin, you are moving the effort over a greater distance than the load. By having the fulcrum close to the lid, a large force can be applied to the load to open the tin. By this means, you are reducing the effort required. That is what first class lever do best. Examples of first class levers are scissors, crowbar, seesaw, claw hammer, etc. Next is second class of lever. In second class levers, the load is between the effort and the fulcrum. A common example is a wheelbarrow where the effort moves a large distance to lift a heavy load, with the axle and wheel as the fulcrum. Next is third class of lever. With third class levers, the effort is between the load and the fulcrum. For example, in barbecue tongs. Other examples of third class levers are a broom, a fishing rod, etc. With this, I end up with the topic. Thank you.